Hey, speaking of shots, let's see if our good friends, if he's taking any, that's John Maakaron, our good friend. He's joining the program today. Look at his face.
He's ready.
Joins. Yeah, he's going to cook my ass when he gets in here. The Doc, you can check him out. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, does some great work. You guys know who it is. Joins us every Wednesday. And as always, brought to you guys by BetUS. Please welcome to the show, the one, the only, John Maakaron. Doc, what's going on?
Man, it's a good day. Let me turn this light down here, man. What a blessing. Man, I was at practice bringing you guys the video. Thank you for playing it, for crediting me for being out there. It's a great time, man. I'm supremely confident. I'm ready to whoop some Commanders' ass. I'm excited. It's a great time. It's Wednesday. Let's talk some football. Let's talk, man. What's going on?
Hey, Doc, I want to get your opinion on this because we talked about it earlier. I know you're very dialed into what's going on. I know you've seen it. And if you haven't, I'll break it down for you. But you saw the video of the Commanders reporter saying that Ben Johnson was obsessed with Sam Howell. I'm sure you've already covered it. Did you happen to see that at all, that video?
Look, I saw that.
What do you make of it, Doc? What do you make of it?
I think it's crazy to think about, but look, first and foremost, I have not had a chance to, I did see it come across the thing, but today's been so heavy with the news about how much Ben loves the Raiders, Aaron Glenn and the Jets and stuff like that. Look, if you're Ben Johnson and you see a quarterback that has the skill set of Sam Howell, maybe it's intriguing, but I look at it from the truth perspective and I say, look, if you're Ben Johnson and you just had success with Jared Goff and you just built an offense around him, and you just also saw what Kevin O'Connell can do with Sam Darnold. So I do believe that Ben Johnson's ego would allow him potentially to say that, but you can do so much better, and that's why I think the Raiders' job for him could be appealing with a top 10 pick coming up, that you could draft someone, or you go the veteran route, and you bring in somebody while you groom. I'm curious to see if Ben Johnson takes another job, because that was the first question I asked Dan Campbell was, what's your philosophy? And which has been funny because as of late, Dan's answers to me have been kind of more in a joking manner. The first thing he told me was a joke. He's like, well, I'm just going to play a quarterback until they lose, and then I'll bring in a veteran. So, and then he's like, I'm kidding, John, I'm kidding. But I think that for most, it's a big decision. For most new coaches, having a quarterback that can play could be the decision, could be the factor whether you get fired or not. But for Ben, early on, I think when he takes a job, he's going to get like 6 years and north of $100 million. He'll get paid so much money that he'll be in a good situation to kind of weather some early storms. But that Sam Howell situation, I think you could just do. My first thought when I saw that, I'm like, Sam Howell, my God. But I think there's, refresh me if I'm wrong, but there's that Carolina connection, and he's always involved there as well. So I could see where he could say, oh, I'm intrigued by what Sam Howell could do, but I think you could always do better.
I interrupted today's video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. But it's not just the same old spread or money line that I'm giving you for Detroit Lions games. It's the BetUS Casino, which you can head over now and try it out for yourself. For all Crunch Time followers who love slots, live casino dealers, take advantage of BetUS and their amazing sign-up bonus, 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000, or 250% for crypto sign-up bonus up to $5,000. You can head over there, check it out, play whatever game you like, and have fun. But please remember to gamble responsibly. Let's get back to the video.
Are we allowed to say people might be lying about stories in this industry, Doc? Is that okay for me to say?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things going on.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't disrespect.
Yeah, there could be a lot of smearing going on with Washington. They're butthurt, but they got a good coach. They got their guy, and they got a nice situation going where they got a win already in the postseason, and now they come into the Lions den. It's going to be fun for them to see how they try to match switch with the Lions.
Yeah, Doc, I do want to ask you, obviously you're in Allen Park today. I just want to kind of two-part question here. One, to kind of get the vibe in Allen Park, how everything was going, anything that the people need to know. And two, with being in Allen Park, all the practice report stuff, you posted videos, Taylor Decker, it sounded like potentially having, they're having their kid, but all these injuries, Ennis Rakestraw still not full practice, Kevin Zeitler out, Pat O'Connor out, and then obviously Terrion and Demont are back. What's going on in Allen Park, and then injury situation? Can you update the people on all of that? David Montgomery, Terrion, Kevin Zeitler, and et cetera, with all of those guys.
Yeah, first and foremost, make sure you visit at Detroit Podcast or Crunch Time, because my videos show up on your feed as well. But with proper credit, I appreciate that very kindly in this day and age. Look, Terrion, smooth, man. He looked good. You saw the backwards drill that they typically do to start the individual drills. He looked fast, smooth, fluid. He looks good, ready to go. Dave Montgomery, you saw, he's ready to go. He said that, hey, if I felt the need, I had to wear a brace, I wouldn't be out there. And he's ready to go. Now, Zeitler, a little bit concerning, missed the first couple of days of practice. How quickly can he recover from that hamstring injury? It's looking less and less likely. The big day will be again tomorrow. Will be our last chance to ask Dan Campbell about it. Taylor Decker was just personal reasons. I would be shocked if he missed the game. And Ennis Rakestraw, look, his situation is, ever so cautious. You probably would expect that he'll be in IR activation after the Commanders game, if at all. So I think the Lions are healthy. That bye week, the vibe around Allen Park was great. Now, real interesting, because there was a shift I can share from the inside. All right. Inside scoop. Today's media session, a little bit better than yesterday. So the first person I went up and talked to yesterday was Al-Quadin Muhammad, number 69. And I thought it would be a nice interview. I thought, okay, you know what? He doesn't talk a whole heck of a lot, but I think he's got a lot to say. So I go up to him and get into the flow of the conversation. And I'm like, what do you think about stopping Jane Daniels? I know he's mobile. He's got some things going on. He's like, you just got to do your job. And I was like, oh, I haven't heard that line like that, delivered like that. And I was like, oh, I was thrown aback. I'm like, oh, they buttoned it down, but it made sense. All the talk from him about Washington was super buttoned up. He did not want to give any inkling of anything that could be bulletin board material. But when he talked about the Lions and Alex Anzalone and his team, he was a little bit more willing to open up. So I tried to joke around with him a little bit. It went nowhere. So that was interesting. But today was a little bit different. Gibbs, Alex Anzalone, JMO, and I talked one-on-one with Zadarius Smith. That full interview will drop tomorrow on Lions on SI. A little bit more forthcoming. And I just feel like the bye week put everybody in a good mood. They're rested. They're ready to go. And they know the mission at hand. 3 wins, and you win the Super Bowl. And I just feel supreme confidence that this football team, as constructed, has won 15 games. And they lost an early season game to Tampa in the rust zone. The game against the Bills was, a situation in which the Bills played better, executed better. They won. But for throughout the year, this football team is ready. And I think that the Commanders, when you look at the matchups all the way across the board, they favor the Lions in a lot of ways. So I don't want to say I'm overlooking the Commanders, but I have less than zero concern. I'm sleeping well. I'm enjoying the coverage. Zadarius Smith is ready too. And you just are rooting for guys to be able to come in and win a ring, because that locker room deserves it. That's a good group of guys. They're working hard and they want to deliver. They want to deliver the Super Bowl to this great fan base. And man, would it be great to get out there and cover a team that wins the Super Bowl? I'm starting to envision it. I've always said Super Bowl loss, but if they get rolling, and I think they'll start clicking right away this Saturday, look out. I think the Lions could potentially make a lot of noise in these next 2 games and the Super Bowl.
Yeah, love to see it, Doc. Love having you on the show. Thank you for coming back. You kind of brought up Demont, and we had a conversation yesterday about what we thought was going to be the role for Demont. Booner posed a question. If Demont starts having the Demont type of game where he's eating in the first half, do they keep him out there and they just let Demont go to work? What do you think Demont's workload is going to be against his Commanders defense Saturday night?
Yeah, right. And first and foremost, I do want to address the handful of people that are like, oh my God, Doc, you're sharing company secrets. I'm like, they allow me to film it, guys. I have a big, huge camera. They let me walk up there and do it for the time that I'm allowed. Remember, I got in trouble last year for commenting and posting some opinions on some of those videos. Now I scaled it back a little bit, but it's a 15-win team. What am I going to say? The team is great. So the commentary is solid. It's just basically, here are the players that are practicing. It's mostly the same kind of drills, because they only allow us like a 10 to 15 minute window. And we see a little bit of stretching and a little bit of drills like that. You basically see defensive backs, running backwards, shuttles, rushing, and then you see some passing and things like that. You're not going to see a whole heck of a lot more. They don't let me see plays, but people are like acting like I was divulging when they're going to run trick plays. Guys, if anything at all, the Lions have my number. They know if they don't like anything, they will just tell me, yank it off. So don't worry. Anything that is on at Detroit Podcast is approved and authorized. So nothing got yanked yet from the Twitter page. So I'm very grateful, and I will post stuff that you guys like and will enjoy it. Now, Dave Montgomery, full go. Now the debate should be, what should the workload be? Because everyone's seeing that Jahmyr Gibbs is a Ferrari. So I'm here now. I don't care what you all think in the chat. I'm starting a running back controversy. I think Gibbs is the Ferrari. I think you win with Gibbs, but you still got to include David Montgomery. Look, the Commanders' rush defense is horrible. Horrible. 30th. They give up a bunch of yards via the ground. So to me, you start the game with Gibbs, you let it rip, and you wear down the defensive line of the Commanders, and then you close the game with David Montgomery. But I think that it should be 60-40 in Gibbs' favor. It's 3 games coming off of a bye. You let him go. You ride Jahmyr Gibbs to the Super Bowl because he's special. I mean, David Montgomery's not going to sit up there and lie to us and say Jahmyr Gibbs is a generational talent. You guys are not going to create an amazing graphic that says generational talent. If I recall, that was you guys. That Jahmyr Gibbs is the truth. And he's special. He got bigger, a little bit bulkier, a little bit better able to block. Great runner, home run threat. So you hit that Ferrari and you give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. And, when you need those maybe short yardage situations in the red zone where they maybe struggle, boom, David Montgomery. But it's a great problem to have, right? If you're Ben Johnson, you got 6 guys that can carry you to a win. It's amazing.
Yeah, Doc, to kind of go back on just Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, they both spoke to the media today. Both were kind of asked about what they've been doing coaching-wise and in the interviews. Who was it? You? I think I heard you ask a question regarding Aaron Glenn turning the Patriots down, John. I know your voice. Go ahead.
Okay, now, I don't want to alarm anybody, okay? I don't want to alarm anybody.
Oh, God. But
something happened. If you are superstitious, if it happens tomorrow, I'll get your guys' counsel as to what do I do. Okay, because I'm a nice guy. All right. I typically show up to all media sessions 30 to 35 minutes before, right? And I've sat in the same spot for about 5 years, right? Today, I roll up in there, say hi to the greeters, sign my name, sign in. I look up. An older reporter sitting in my seat. I'm like, oh, hell no, in my head. I'm like, what? What do I say? Do I tell him, hey, move? No, it's an older guy. I can't say anything. Yeah, so I'm like, man, it's bad. But nobody from the outside has even thought to sit there up front, but someone was there. So Dan Campbell, when I was late last year, I was late to a media session. He brought it up. He said, hey, why are you in the back? So tomorrow, if it happens again, Dan's probably going to say something, but I'm a little concerned. Superstition says that they've been winning with me sitting up front. It didn't happen today, but I'm respectful. I respect my elders. I sat in the back, so I had to scream my question to Aaron Glenn. But yeah, that was an easy toss-up because we had to confirm, hey, why didn't you go to interview with the Patriots? I think that's a mistake. Yeah, they were going to hire Vrabel. Yeah, you could say it was maybe an interview not in good faith, but you still learn from any opportunity from someone asking you a question. I would have still took the interview. But I did want to know. So I threw it in there. I said, hey, is part of the reason why you don't want to go to the Patriots because you're a Jet, you're a bleed green guy, and you're not going to the Patriots? I thought it would have been, hey, if you're going to go to the Jets, might as well get some info from the Patriots upper management. Maybe ask some questions like, what's your vision? Or tell me some things you guys want to do with Drake May. You at least get some info if you're going to go to the Jets. But I get it. His answer to me was respectful. He didn't divulge anything. He said, nah, it's just not a good fit. And that's a pro answer. But yeah, that was me. I asked directly, did you turn down the Patriots because you're a Jet? Which I thought was hilarious to me to ask that in that way. But I loved Aaron Glenn wearing the glasses. Looks smart and sophisticated, and I love it. But yeah, I asked him a point blank direct question, and he answered it.
But
I thought really honestly too this week, I thought my question to Dan about, hey, do you check in with the guys? I was like, yeah, I could see where maybe you don't want to divulge that, but there was a way to answer that with a lot of words without really answering it. But he's been side skirting some of my questions with some jokes lately. And I thought that, his answer could have been, he could have gave some coach speak. But I asked Dan Campbell, I said, hey, it is kind of weird. Your guys that you are in the trenches with are flirting with other people. And he's like, what? You want me to go check in on them and let them know, for them to tell me that they're leaving? But I was like, it is kind of unusual that you've been in the trenches with these guys and they're now talking to a bunch of other teams. You're going to compete against these guys in the future. What's it like? I thought it would have been interesting to see what kind of conversations he has. He could have just said, I check in with them and I'm glad they're taking interviews and maybe give his opinion, but he punted on that question. So to me, that lends to me that those are good questions because they don't want to answer it.
Well, Doc, where are you today, January 15th? We've talked a lot this week, me and the fellas, about landing spots. Where are you now with you being around in the room, both leaving, one leaving? Where are you at with it?
Yeah, no doubt. And then a great point by John Hughes in the comment that he didn't want to be the quote unquote Aaron Glenn, the Rooney Rule interview. Look, you never know. And you can't assume that if somebody invites you for an interview, you never know what the other party's thinking. And also, too, it's the NFL. Information is gold. Like, you get to sit with an NFL team and you get to learn about their organization. If you're going to be with the Jets, it would be nice to kind of get some intel on Drake May, what they think of the defense, what their draft thoughts could be. Intel. Look, I get it. The whole, you don't want to go to a job that you're never going to get. And everybody and their mom knew that Vrabel would get that job. But I think that you still take the interview and you never know. Maybe there's a third or fourth person on that call that ends up going somewhere else down the road. You never know in the NFL where people sprinkle around. And I think that it's a missed opportunity, but that also lends to the point that you're making. Maybe he knows there's a couple teams that are going to give you that offer. So he knows he can be selective. And right now, everyone knows Aaron Glenn's the most ready. He sounds like a coach. He's talking like a coach. He's selling himself as a coach. He said today in front of everybody, I'm not just a defensive coach. I coach everybody. And his reputation, do you guys see that amazing video that he did with Pivot, where he's talking about how his impact is with players, how he worked with Tracy Walker? Maybe you should have watched a couple more hours of film with him. That might have helped his career. But that's here nor there. I think that video was empowering. I thought that everybody you talked to from the time I've stepped foot at Allen Park, everybody talks about how great a leader AG is. He's gone. He's going to get an offer. Whether it be the Saints or the Jets, he's gone. Guaranteed. I mean, you would be crazy. He's a leader of men, former NFL player, Dan Campbell's right-hand guy. The world, and Ben Johnson said, hey, this guy's ready. Dan Campbell, when Dan Campbell stands in front of the microphone and says, it would be crazy if this guy doesn't get a job, it's done. It's a done deal. People are going to make an offer. Now, Ben Johnson is a little bit different. He faces a little bit more of an uphill climb. One, not a former player, but I do think he's well respected for what he's done in this offense. You visit Lions on SI, you read the tea leaves, the Raiders love him. And why not? Tom Brady's in charge of the minority owner there. He's watched the games. He saw Ben Johnson destroy the Cowboys. He's seen other games where you've seen afterwards. He's like, man, this offense is unbelievable. I want to play for this offense. Tom Brady has basically said, I want Ben Johnson. Now, it's all going to be about particulars and who's going to run when they fired Tom Tedesco, I think that pretty much opened the conversation that right now, I think the leader in the clubhouse for the services of Ben Johnson is the Las Vegas Raiders. So my opinion is both are gone. Get ready.
Wow. That's a big.
And look, the Lions, guys, 15-2. If you're an NFL organization and you're trying to sell your fan base, you want winners, go after the best team in the NFL.
For sure.
You go after the Lions guys. Your fan base is going to ask you, wait a minute, you didn't want Ben Johnson? He's the best. you're going to have a tough sell if you're not going to bring in Ron Rivera when Ben Johnson's out there. It's just, you got to handle business. You have to, electrify your fan base. And Tom Brady standing on a stage with Ben Johnson, that sells tickets, baby. That's Prince money.
Yeah, Doc. I mean, even like going a step further here, I know we've already talked to you about the replacements and all of that, but I think since we've spoke with you last, guys like Hank Fraley, Deshae Townsend, like these guys have all gotten OC and DC interviews. What are your thoughts on how like the mix up, not only which is with Ben Johnson and AG, obviously most likely they take some guys with them, but some of these other guys outside of even Kelvin Shepard or Tanner Engstrand. Hank Fraley got an OC interview last week. Deshae Townsend interviewed for the 49ers DC job. What are your thoughts on how this whole, not just the head guys, but the guys behind them, how do they mix up and kind of how does this thing turn out with some of these guys? And who do you see kind of leaving and staying?
Yeah, it's great too, right? Hank Fraley getting the offensive coordinator interview. I think that's a great thing too. When you run an offensive line that has had that much success, you look, when you're a successful NFL team, other teams want to come in and talk to your guys. And it's, I think that it's too soon for Hank Fraley to take an opportunity like that. You would think that, he maybe needs a little bit more seasoning with play calling and stuff like that. But look, I think it's great for Deshae Townsend. I think it's great for the special teams coach. That the special teams staffer that got an opportunity for an interview. You take those things, and I think the other teams in the NFL would be smart to learn a little bit more about what the Lions did. Now, I hope you guys are blessed to subscribe to the Free Press because, my God, look, I don't want to. I'll say this: I subscribe to all of them. MLive, the News, Athletic. I subscribe to them all. But to me, it's a write-off. So it's information. I can use it. It's all part of the group where you learn things and you read it. But to me, if you only subscribe to one, the Free Press is hands down, I think, one of the premier worth it subscriptions you can buy. And Jeff Seidel did an amazing 3-part. You got to sit with Sheila Hemp, sit with some of the ownership, sit with Rod Wood, and sit with Brad Holmes, and you realize, my goodness, what it took. 3-part series. Read it all. Yeah, worth it just to subscribe for the week just to read that series in terms of just how Chris Spielman was a servant to this organization and how the timeline of how this organization got better. Good coaches, and I think that here's the secret, and I'll tease a little bit of what Zadarius Smith said. He told me directly, he's like, man, these NFL teams probably need coaches that have played in the league. The biggest secret, one of the secrets of the Lions' success, these coaches have all played in the league. They instantly get credibility to the players. That's the buy-in. That's one of the small margins of victory in the NFL is buy-in. I don't know if you guys watch Hard Knocks, but all the speeches kind of sound the same. We got to work hard. We got to try this. We got to be winners. It all kind of sounds the same. And look, listening to what Mike Tomlin said, I kind of was like, man, after 10 years, that probably gets a little bit stale. But what the Lions have done is they have galvanized a locker room and a town by the speeches they give, the rallying cry that they have to go out there and let's just, hey, you guys are a bunch of guys that nobody thought would win. And look what you've done, from Amon-Ra St. Brown to guys that, Amik Robertson. I just think that the Lions coaches filled with a bunch of ex-players has really helped this development of the talent. And I think probably my assessment would be that Tanner Engstrand, Mark Brunell would be candidates to leave with Ben Johnson. I think Kelvin Shepard would get a phone call from Aaron Glenn to pursue an opportunity. So those are the frontline guys that I think have worked directly with the coordinators to potentially get those calls. And that's kind of how it goes is you look to the people you worked with first. So maybe even Deshae Townsend would consider, leaving for working with Aaron Glenn. But it's all about opportunity. It's all about, money and the opportunity that, what your role could be. And I'm fascinated to see when the calls come down and they tell Dan Campbell they're leaving, who's going to stay and who's going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how it plays out. Kind of going outside of Detroit, all still applies to Detroit, obviously. When you looked at the Minnesota-LA game, when you looked at the Philadelphia and who'd they play? I'm blanking right now.
Packers.
The Packers game. What were your takeaways from the other games around the NFC when you look at the Lions and how they played?
Yeah, no doubt. And look, remember too, Diggity Dog, Glenn and Johnson are not the coach of the Lions. The coach of the Lions is a former NFL player who stands in front of the team and runs the ship. Dan Campbell, former NFL player who shocked everybody in his interview. Dan is the leader. The rest have now learned what it's going to take to galvanize a room. Whew. But again, players look to former players, and that's why, listen, do your homework. Matt Patricia's intro speech was not terribly different than what Dan Campbell said, just minus the kneecaps. Matt Patricia kind of said the same thing. Set the tone, be gritty, win tough games. The situation is he walked into the locker room and in 5 seconds opened his mouth, and they were all looking at him like, oh, hell no. That's the difference. Dan Campbell had the respect of being a former player, and he knows what the deal is. Now, it was weird, and I said this on the latest Doc and Jock podcast, just watching a lot of NFL football, watching a lot of college football this year, I kind of felt like throughout, I was excited genuinely for the college football playoff and for the NFL, and then I just got bored. Like, I was a little bit bored watching some of the playoff games. I was like, well, this is Ohio State and Texas. This is, but it's not really competitive. It's not really all that
a great game, Doc.
And I've kind of seen all this before. You know what I mean? It's like, they're leading and they do that. Okay. So it's like when you're me and you watch that much football, I kind of should have taken a break, but I watched it all. I wasn't impressed with the NFL postseason with what I saw on Wild Card Weekend. A lot of games that weren't that great. The Washington game was competitive, but on the NFC side, again, that's why I'm coming on here super excited, and I got in trouble a little bit on Twitter because people read a little bit. When Nakobe Dean went down, clearly, let's just start with the notion. I'm a normal human. I don't want any player to get hurt, clearly. But in this day and age, you got to preface everything. And everyone's trying to read your tone on Twitter. Well, good luck with that. But I'm live and in person. When Nakobe Dean went down, my first thought was, oh, man, I hope it's not too severe. And my next thought was, easier path for the Lions. That's a big time injury for a defense that was playing well on the defensive line. The Eagles didn't impress me. The Rams, now, that performance against the Vikings, smart, because they copied Aaron Glenn. Smart Rams, what they were able to do. They're concerning, but, I'll take for once the advice of the Twitter commenters. They were like, they're going to play the Eagles. Don't worry about the Rams. Too early. They're going to play a snowball. It's going to favor the Eagles. It's going to be a physical contest. I think if they come to Detroit after 2 tougher games, maybe after a tough game against the Eagles, maybe that will favor the Lions. So I walked away from the other games going, man, like everybody else, I laughed at the Vikings, collapsed, laughed at the pretender Packers, didn't show up. So Lions, kings of the NFC North. And I walked away laughing at the Packers and Vikings. I enjoyed the collapse. The live stream that some of the Vikings and Packers did was hilarious. They've shut up pretty quick. Their trash talking was over.
You were a menace, Doc, in that one live stream. You were.
Great,
this guy was on
great. I love the screaming live streamers out there. You guys are great. Niche market. I couldn't do it because I would go above and beyond what even that guy was doing. So that was great. But my biggest takeaway is toughest game might be Lions-Rams NFC Championship.
Wow.
Doc. I've been consistent on that.
And Booner's not with you.
They played well. That was an emotional game. They had a reason to play, and they showed out. And they handled distractions. They have a good general manager, experienced coach. They got a quarterback that fits that system. Maybe he gets hot for a couple of weeks, and you never know.
I mean, they're using Dan's what he said to Kevin O'Connell as motivation to go all the way. Like Dan Campbell, if they meet in the NFC Championship game, he might have inspired them. He's such a good leader of men. He's inspiring other teams, Doc, to make runs in the playoffs. I'll ask you, the team they're facing, Jane Daniels, mobility, it's going to be tough. We've seen, the Lions kind of struggle with mobile quarterbacks. They've only really faced one true, I guess, a top level mobile quarterback, someone that has been running all over teams, and Josh Allen. I get you can count Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, and stuff like that, but Josh, the biggest threat, ran for 60, 70 yards, whatever it is. What do you make of the matchup here? I know AG or Dan kind of talked about it as well. Where are you at with trying to contain Jaden? Are you in the camp of Corey Woods? He joined the show Monday, where it's like, hey, he's going to beat you. He's going to have a ton of yards with his legs. Or are you on the side of, hey, we got to limit this? Because he's running all over teams, Doc. He's running all over them.
Yeah, no doubt. Mag Life, I appreciate your comment. I got that a lot on Facebook and Twitter. Well, Ben and Aaron are interviewing. We shouldn't be talking about them leaving and interviewing. Guys, they did the interviews on their bye week where they didn't know the opponent. They are, and today I asked Terry and Arnold, hey, have you told Aaron you want him to come back? He's like, I respect Aaron so much that he's not brought any of that noise into the building. He said, I, of course, want Aaron Glenn back, but Aaron is a pro. Ben Johnson is a pro. Guys, I promise you, I would tell you if I thought that the interviews were a distraction. They're not. This football team is laser focused. They know the storybook ending is right there. Guys, the game is in New Orleans. New Orleans, where Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell came from. Come on now. They're focused. They're ready. They're putting in the hours. And these guys can take time to interview and also run a game plan. Trust me. So here, and the reason why we're also talking about Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn in their interviews is my confidence level is high. I echo the sentiments of a lot of people that think that the Lions are going to cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover. I think they win 30-20. I think they get out to an early lead. I think the noise at Ford Field is going to be crazy. And I think that the Lions are built to win playoff games the ways in which playoff games are meant to be won. You're going to pound the rock. You're going to get a lot of first downs. You're going to hit them with a bunch of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to have some excitement for the primetime viewers for Jamison Williams. And then you want to do some defensive adjustments to stop them. We'll hit you with a little Sam Laporta. We'll hit you a little bit with some Brock Wright. We'll hit you with some David Montgomery. It's too much. And so until someone comes in and actually takes it to the Lions like the Bills did, some teams can do it. Not in the NFC. So I think that my concern level for Jaden Daniels is low. I think he throws the football once to Kirby and once to either Amik or Terry and Arnold. He's going to throw 2 interceptions. Yeah, he'll get his a little bit on the ground. But remember, we did a film review on Detroit Lions on SI. Christian looked at it. The Lions, have to focus and hit. And I'll save you a little bit of time if you don't want to read it all, but it's worth your time to watch the film and read it with Christian. It's not going to be about the scrambling of Jaden Daniels. It's going to be about the RPO. You got to maintain your responsibility, not get fooled. Make sure you tackle, because Jaden Daniels can do that and confuse you and end up with big gains. I think he'll run for 65 yards, but the turnovers battle will be won by the Lions. They're going to score a bunch of points. The atmosphere in that building will carry the Detroit Lions. It would be a monumental upset of the last 5 years if the Commanders beat the Lions. Everyone should go there, and I'm telling you now, get ripped before the game, and you don't have to worry about the Lions against the Commanders. Maybe it'll be close, but what evidence tells you that the Lions are going to lose a close game? They play well. They're hungry. And I'm telling you now, from what Dan Campbell's been telling the players and how hungry they are, they know half the roster flew home from the 49ers game. They won 15 games. Commanders are going to get their ass beat. And those fans, that video of them chanting, "We want the Lions," is going to be the funniest thing to watch over and over again when the final score reads 35-17. It's going to be great. And if you are sitting there nervous, I think that there's nothing the Lions can do than ever to impress you. I mean, a guy like me, I'm a cynic. I'm a critic. And I'm just going to say, like, I'm going to put it out there. If there were things to be nervous about, I would bring them up. But for this week, Lions coming off of a bye, healthier, Jared Goff balling out, Jameson Williams maturing right before our eyes. Every interview he's given the last 3 weeks has gotten better than the one before. Jahmyr Gibbs bursting onto the scene. A healthier Sam Laporta, an offensive line that wants to prove things. I mean, I think the recipe's there for this week. Sit back, be confident, and cheer your heart out. The Lions are going to deliver this week. And then we can be really nervous when it's the Lions and the Rams next week. Then I'll come on next week and say, okay, I'm a little bit nervous.
Okay, you can't say all that, Doc, and then say you're going to be nervous. We're not doing that. That's not the world we're living in. This is the best team in the NFL.
I'm someone that says the Lions are getting to the Super Bowl, but my confidence level, and this week I'm going in there with my heart rate going to be 65. If it's the Lions and the Rams, my heart rate will be 90, but I'm still predicting them to win. It's just going to be more nervousness because Stafford has a nice offense. The Rams have some motivation, and they have some defensive players that can do some things. There's a risk of loss with the Rams.
Three words for you, Doc. Calm down, Doc. That's all I'm going to keep saying. I'm going to text you that every morning.
Nervous.
You're going to wake up. You're going to walk into Allen Park.
Psychotic
and the first
nervousness
text you're
next
going to
week.
get is going to say, calm down, Doc. And that's every time you're about to talk to Dan, I'm going to be watching live on YouTube, and I'm going to text you and say, calm down, Doc. It's all good. And I do want to ask you something. We're talking a lot about the offense, but defensively, one guy that came back, and I think it might have been AG that actually talked about it today, Alex Anzalone, and the impact that he had in this last game, in the Vikings game. And, it was said too, like, hey, he might be on a little bit of a snap limit. And they said, hey, he might not be a full go. He ended up being a full go, and this defense looked completely different. How big of an impact do you see Anzo having over these next 3 games? Obviously, it's probably pretty high, but what does this do for this defense moving forward versus Jaden Daniels, potentially a Stafford or a Jalen Hurts, and then, one of those elite MVP candidates in the AFC?
Yeah. Real fast, I got distracted by the learn how to win comment. I looked at it and I say, I'm a state guy. So I followed the Lions in Michigan State. Okay. So I'm in a situation in which I've seen a lot of losing and a lot of heartbreak. Okay. Remember, Lomas Brown guaranteed the Lions were going to go to Philly and whoop ass, and they got their ass whooped. I've seen a lot of losing. So first of all, I think I have kind of turned the corner a little bit. I went 15-2 in my predictions this year. I predicted them to win 16 times, and they won 15 of them. So I had a good year prediction-wise. Gambling-wise was a good year. So we're learning there, but that opportunity to just be full homer, not there just yet. Now, hit me with that last part of the question again, Booner, about Jalen Hurts in the AFC.
Yeah, just about Alex Anzalone and Anzalone.
Yeah, okay. His return. Yes, no doubt about it. I heard that first part is the last part there with Jalen Hurts and his impact. I think the return of Anzalone, monumental. You see the swagger that he brings to the table. First and foremost, when you bring that scar to the table and you post that on the internet and you are playing with a rod in your arm, you just garner the respect of everybody, and everybody focuses more. And you saw everything that he was able to do with coverage, galvanize that defense. Look, man, and I think probably, we can't do it now, but if we did a film review intently on Alex Anzalone, he got better in the last 4 years. Part of the reason why the Lions got better is they developed their players. The players that were good and had some weaknesses got better in Aaron Glenn's system. And I just think he's a defensive captain. He's an above average linebacker who's aggressive, who flies to the football, good in coverage against tight ends. TJ Hawkinson, I got to admit, I got his jersey and I got it signed.
Oh, burn it.
Bad luck, right?
Burn it.
Alligator arms, TJ. What the hell? Didn't want to take a hit from the Lions defense. He played like crap against the Lions and wasn't all that impactful in the playoff game in their choke. So I look at Alex Anzalone and I say, man, kudos to you for being the best version that you can be. And I think that it slots everything nicely with Jack Campbell too. So, man, and Dan Campbell said it perfectly when he answered the question honestly and real with the radio station. He said, it would probably be easier for me to tell you what he didn't do well. He did everything. He just did so many good things on that football field. It's just like, man, there's so much that he contributed to that it makes this defense a lot better. And I mean, a lot, guys, 9 points to the Vikings. Maybe it's overstated because they were in the midst of their choke job. Maybe they, as some would say, blew their wad a little early in their celebration. But I don't care about the Vikings issues. The Lions defense got better with Alex Anzalone.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Doc. And something that defense did week 18 against Sam Darnold was they applied pressure. Aaron Glenn sent the house. It was more than we've seen all season from Aaron Glenn, but it was more from a whole defense where they sent all 6 guys. Do you think a similar game plan? Because when you look at Sam Darnold, not a rookie, but that was really his first big game, week 18, to win the NFC North, win the NFC Conference. Jaden Daniels now going to be in his biggest moment. Do you think AG is going to keep his foot on the gas and just send the house pretty much every time just to make him uncomfortable? What do you expect this game plan to look like?
It's such a great question. I did a video on it specifically for SI, just talking about is Aaron Glenn going to send the pressure that much? Here's the problem. The numbers dictate that Jaden Daniels is pretty good against the blitz and good in the face of pressure late in games. So I think you got to be creative. I think you trust the members of the roster to make life for Jaden Daniels uncomfortable. So yes, maybe I will question it. But in the end, why would you change something that you've done basically for the most of the year? You blitz at a 55% rate. You go after it and you make it uncomfortable for Jaden Daniels. You got the weapons to do it. You got Zadarius Smith a little bit healthier, refreshed, Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike. And the whole purpose is, the reason why people get nervous is if you make a mistake, there's going to be a potential for an explosive play. But the Lions defense has shown that they can make up for it on the back end in the red zone. So you go to the dance with what brought you. You bring the pressure. You hope that it forces him into some throws that he don't like, and you make life uncomfortable just a little bit. Maybe, you dial it back down to like 48%, maybe just a little bit less, and you drop back in coverage just a little bit. But bottom line, in the NFL and the postseason, you also have to win with some 4-man fronts, and you have to win some battles. I think they will, and I do think that it's going to be a nice battle between the Lions' defensive line and the Commanders' offensive line is pretty solid. They do some things really well. It's going to be a very, very intriguing opportunity. But X factor is going to be Zadarius Smith. I think he gets after. I think he eats this week.
Well, Doc, you talked about the NFC and the NFC North, but what do you make of the Sam Darnold stuff? Back-to-back games, crap in the bed. We talked about it. Is it J.J. McCarthy next year, Doc, or do you believe Sam Darnold will be back? Or do you believe he'll still get paid to some extent? I know it was not as much as he would have, but what do you make of the Sam Darnold storyline, and where does he end up next year?
It's funny. You remember what I said last year? I basically did a promo for Sam Darnold, right? And he went out there, and I'm wrong. I didn't think he was going to play that bad. Oh my God. I thought that, it's wild to see, in the face of pressure, he was seeing ghosts. I thought that his play was subpar, and the Rams and the Lions cost Sam Darnold $100 million. $100 million. I think he was on the verge of making a contract and making some noise. But here's the problem. There's layers to this, right? He's a guy that you can win games with in the regular season, but you probably aren't going to see him rally to win big games unless the scenario is perfect. So here's the tough part. You're Sam Darnold. You can play. Maybe a team that needs a quarterback, he's going to be up there in regards to being ranked as somebody that had a good year. I think he's system-based. He should stay with the Vikings if they offer him a reasonable amount. But now that you've seen the last 2 games with more information, it would behoove probably the Vikings to go to J.J. McCarthy. You realize, look, I think that if you want to, it's tough because you got to sell to this fan base that you want to win. I think that, in essence, when we were talking about Jared Goff as a bridge quarterback, it actually applies to Sam Darnold. He's a nice bridge from, where you were to where you can go with J.J. McCarthy. But right now with those 2 performances, He turned the ball over. He looked scared. It was wild. Like you would have thought he would have taken a step up. Instead, he went backwards. And I think that's what everybody saw is that, hey, it's collective. It's a team game. But I think the narrative and the talk now is, okay, you're not going to pay him $55 million. It's just not worth it. If he takes a little bit of a discount, if he takes a Baker Mayfield deal, I would stay. If you're Sam Darnold, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take 3 years at 90 and take the 90 million guaranteed and call it a day. But the 55 million, the $200 million contract, that's out the window. You say if you can stay another year or two, mentor JJ McCarthy, and that's a win-win for everybody involved. But man, it's unfortunate. You don't like to see people fall flat on their face. But as a fan of the Lions, it's hilarious as all hell that the Vikings won that many games. And all you can say about the Vikings, factually, FRAUD, fraud, baby.
Hey, Doc, I'm going to put you on the spot here with this question because I don't know if you've seen it yet because it came out literally just before the show started. And I'm really, what I'm doing for you here, Doc, I'm throwing an oop to you for a story here. Maybe you throw crunch time in the story. I don't know. It got released though. Dan Orlovsky, I saw him tweet it out literally as soon as the show started. He did his top 5 or top 4 wide receiver cores, or you could even say weapons, but wide receiver cores in the NFC North. And he included tight ends as well. He had number 1, the Green Bay Packers, number 2, the Minnesota Vikings, number 3, the Chicago Bears, and he had the Detroit Lions as the at the bottom of the NFC North in his wide receiver rankings, including tight ends. I think it's blasphemy, as Stephen A. Smith would say. What are your thoughts on that? And kind of, I'll say this, at least in my opinion, maybe you have your own opinion. The kind of disrespect there, it seems, with Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Laporta, and those guys there. At least that's what I take out of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so someone uncovered and went and pulled receipts from Dan from what he said prior to the year starting.
I saw him tweet it out. He tweeted it out today.
He acknowledged his own mistake.
I don't know if it was him. I don't know if he acknowledged it. I can pull it up. But hey, I'm just saying, hey, this is a good article for you, Doc. I'm trying to. Yeah,
no, I want the facts because I'm not going to credit you. I'm just going to say it's my idea. Are you kidding me? That's the way. Isn't that the way of the world? Doc. You just take stuff and not credit people. I don't know. That's what people do. I figured I just might do it, but
it's trendy.
I'm just kidding.
To be honest, I don't think he tweeted it out. I can't find it, but I saw a tweet today and I took the screen grab of it and I posted it. It was a Dan O tweet. I don't know when he tweeted it. But
no, it
could have been a year ago now that I'm thinking about it. I might have put him on blast on Twitter.
Fake news Booner, right? Well, okay. Supposedly, based on your supposed fake true story, I understand because I've seen some of the debates. People are like Addison and Jefferson are better. Who would you rather have, St. Brown or J-Mo versus Addison and Jefferson? All that I understand. And people understand name value and all that kind of stuff. But right now, clear as day, Lions in the system that they have with Ben Johnson calling the routes, the hunger, the perfect combination of the speed and accuracy and the route running of J-Mo and the sure-handedness and the unbelievable all-world blocking and great play of Amon-Ra St. Brown, you would be hard-pressed to make an argument that you wouldn't want those two leading. If you're a quarterback, you would be thrilled to have those two guys staring at you in a huddle any opportunity that you have. They've gained respect, and it's tougher, though, too, because we're sitting here now. We've seen what J-Mo was. Remember, at the beginning of the year when there's polls and stuff like that, it's just more off of name recognition. And J-Mo, remember, still was unproven. He got better. And another reason why the Lions have gotten better, and part of the reason that was in that 3-part feature was, 1, they drafted well, but 2, and this is something that the Pistons are doing.
Hell
the
yeah.
big D word. Not that one.
Oh.
Development. They're developing the people that are in that building. They come in and theoretically, and I wish I was more focused on it in terms of the numbers, but from the time I grew up, players would come to Detroit and just get worse. It was like a retirement facility. Like you'd come get your $1 million paycheck and then you'd fall off the face of the earth. Like you would not get better as a football player. The last 5 years with Brad Holmes, football players in large numbers in Detroit have gotten better. And it's development. It's amazing. And Jameson Williams developed from September until now into a more physical runner, somebody more confident, and he understands exactly his route responsibilities, the depth, and that comes through practice. That was not going to, that was still going to be a question mark at the beginning of the year. But right now, we want this version of JMO. We want this version of Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's amazing, and it's something that is an amazing thing to see what this offense did. What, fourth highest scoring offense in the history of the NFL? Points galore. They scored 40 points like it was going out of style. It was, astronomical, the sheer impact of that offense, the records that they set, the number of first downs, touchdowns. It was just amazing and remarkable, the offensive numbers they put up this year.
Well, we got some member questions coming in. Unless you want to go, Klotz, either one. We want to
just kind of real quick, Doc. You were talking about development. Somewhere there's been nowhere of that is Chicago, and you kind of brought up the point. You don't think Ben Johnson's going there. Who do you think will be the next head coach of the Bears if you had to pick one?
Yeah. What's crazy too is there are NFL teams that everyone knows are run badly, and they still run their shit badly. You're Dallas. You don't want to give Mike McCarthy a contract. Well, why wouldn't you want to get in the Ben Johnson sweepstakes? Like, why wouldn't you want to talk to him now? The official rule is now Ben can't talk to nobody until after the Lions season. Officially. Tom Brady, officially he can't talk to anybody right now. But in the end, the Jets and the Cowboys and the Bears are just franchises that do stuff that people that leave you scratching their head like, why are you running it this way? It's unbelievable. Poverty franchises stay poverty. And, maybe Dallas will hire Robert Saleh. Maybe they'll go after Dion if they want to make a splash. The Bears, it's perfect for Mike McCarthy. McCarthy developed Aaron Rodgers. McCarthy's a winner. You can win games. And sometimes you hate to say it for people because McCarthy's in his 60s. If you're looking for a bridge coach, just someone to help your organization learn how to win, that's the guy. That's the guy that makes noise. He understands the NFC North. He understands quarterback development. He would fit perfectly with them. So for the Bears, here's the free advice. Hire Mike McCarthy and walk away. Don't meddle. Let him get 5 years, and they'll be competitive. And then it takes a little bit of luck in drafting to be able to go from consistent playoff appearances in the playoffs to Super Bowl winner. Caleb's got what it takes. I think Mike McCarthy is the perfect coach there. I think Vegas goes with Ben Johnson. The Jaguars will be unique. They may end up getting Saleh because of his ties there. We'll see. But it'll be interesting to see how these coaching vacancies shake out. I'm definitely curious if Deion Sanders shows up with Dallas. That would be fun to see that circus. It's like circus galore. A circus with Jerry Jones, and then you got Deion Sanders, who's all about him. It would be fun as hell. I would love to see it. Just root for NFL, root for clicks. That'd be amazing.
Well, Doc, we got some questions here. We'll start ball don't lie. Question for Doc. Who do you think wins the AFC?
Man, I can't wait. Maybe I'm hoping this game lives up to the billing. Bills-Ravens winner. Good chance to have some momentum to get out of the AFC. I'm curious to see how the time off will impact KC against Houston. Should be an easy advance there. But I like the winner of the Bills-Ravens game. The Ravens seem really strong in terms of Lamar Jackson. You got to see what he brings to the table. I think it favors the Buffalo Bills at this point in time with Josh Allen. So right now, you ask me, I think it's Buffalo Bills.
Next question, Lion King says, Doc, we've seen improvement in Levi O. Who's your most improved Lion?
Great question.
Yeah, very good question. Like we said, we talked about development. You looked at it and you saw, I think the answer is Jahmyr Gibbs. I think from where he was to where he is now, I think he's more confident. I think he's a great runner, better in blocking. You saw, and you remember too, Scotty Montgomery kept saying, it's coming. The big explosive plays, they're coming. He's one move away. And Dan Campbell would say it too. He's like, we are, just a hair of a block away from more explosive plays. And then when it came, when the opportunities presented themselves for Jahmyr Gibbs to hit the holes and get to the second level, my God, he just took advantage. And you hate to see an injury happen to David Montgomery, but Jahmyr Gibbs picked up the ball and ran with it. I look at it from the other side. I wouldn't say that he's like significantly improved, but great asset to the defense. Amik Robertson, underrated. I think that he is a player that just wanted an opportunity. Injury gave it to him, and it showcased too. Another reason why the Lions won was when they asked some people to step up, they were able to. You go back and watch that performance. What he did against Jefferson, it was really special, and he acted like a number one cornerback, and that's what we've always seen. A shutdown cornerback. Awesome to see. And I think Amik Robertson, that's why he wanted to come here. He wanted to learn and develop and go from where he was to where he is now. He's also developed too and honed in his craft.
Rookie move, Hefe.
How about that? Wheezy D says, why KOC not on the hot seat? Missing Darrisaw finally caught up to him.
Yeah. Look, you win that many regular season games, you're a coach that people definitely have a lot of respect for. He's got a great offensive mind. I think that the idea is that, the plan was probably for McCarthy to probably play, and Darnold was going to be the backup. And remember how that shook out, that J.J. McCarthy got hurt. So, and there was probably a chance McCarthy would have had a good, he was starting to zing the football a little bit. He might have been the starter. So it was a situation in which Darnold got an opportunity and he took advantage of it. And remember too, that their draft pick, when you have a draft pick go down to injury, you're viewed a little bit in a better spot. But it's always intriguing too. I don't want to open the subject now, but it is true because Mike Tomlin is a winner. He gets to the postseason every year, doesn't have a losing season, but can't get over the hump. How would the Lions fans feel if the Lions get to the NFC title game and lose, get to the Super Bowl and lose, get to the playoffs every year, but can't get over the hump? Would the Lions accept that with Dan Campbell? Is Dan Campbell a bridge coach? I don't think so. I think he will break through, but what if they don't? Like, are you going to stay loyal to Dan Campbell forever? I'd like to think so, but what happens if it's so difficult to climb that mountain and to stay there? So I think that the fine line between being a winner and finding better and then falling off the face of the map, it's a very thin line. So I think he's a good coach, and he's still young, got room to grow. That's why he is injuries caught up to the Vikings. And I do think that he as a play caller can also get better too. And then hopefully JJ McCarthy, because in the end, for a lot of coaches, who you decide to invest in at quarterback will determine your fate.
Well, great stuff as always, Doc. We appreciate you. You got a big weekend this weekend. You've been crushing it. Go ahead.
Score prediction, Doc. You can't leave us hanging. I need a score prediction.
You weren't tapped in. He gave it already. He gave a score prediction already.
Yeah, 30-20, baby. I think it's,
okay.
I think the Lions, great teams cover. I think the Lions give everybody a great read. It's going to be a party. I'm definitely going to have my headphones on. My ears will be ringing. Primetime game. It's going to be fun. Thank you, chat. I thought the chat this week was the best chat comments I've seen in a long time. You guys were into it. Maybe I stepped up my game. Maybe the lack of alcohol. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I dropped 12 pounds in the last.
Yeah,
are you serious?
The video views are off the chart. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to take my appearance very seriously, my health. So the goal of this year is just more of the same. I'm doing appearances more interviews, more talks about the Lions. I truly believe that Lions on SI is a valuable free place where fans can come and learn about the Lions for free and inside information and stuff like that. And you guys have helped me. And so I am trying to improve my health at 45 years old. I'm now entering my prime, just starting. Yeah. And if that's what I did in 24, entering my prime just before, what's going to happen when I hit my prime? It's going to be great. And you guys will be along for the ride too. I can't wait to report more. I got a taste of what it was like to report this year the way I wanted to, and it turned out great. I want more. I want definitely more.
There you go. The Doc. Join us. Check him out. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Joins the boys every Wednesday.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Doc, you're the GOAT. We love you.
Appreciate you, boys. Let's talk next week.
Hey, go Lions, Doc.
John, Mr. John Maakaron. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring, as always. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.